And I often say, when I find myself in the midst of most of you young people, suddenly I feel 10 years younger. And I thank you for that. I'm a grandmother of 5. And a mother of 5.
Wow.
Any opportunity that I get to share a little bit of me with young people, it's an opportunity that I cherish greatly, particularly at this time in our history as Africans. We are so separated from each other. We are so programmed to dislike each other. Sometimes I feel we are almost programmed to dislike ourselves. It is important that when we have opportunities like we have today, these are opportunities we must cherish. And hopefully when we leave today, everybody leaves with a renewed commitment to not only self, but each other, and more importantly, to our continent. Emmanuel asked me to speak today on the issues of Wakanda. Some of you have listened to some of my videos, and I talked about us coming together and building our own Wakanda. The movie was quite inspirational, the Black Panther, and that's where the idea came. The idea that while we may have been displaced electively and non-electively, the reality is we must go back home. But I also know that it is easier said than done. There are many of us who have tried to go home, and many of us have come back. Quite often I hear people talk about the people at home feel threatened by us. Some say, well, you know, we try to tell them what to do, we're going in with expertise, and we want to help them. And I listen quite often, and there's something missing, there's a disconnect of some sort. For those who left, who are descendants of slaves, they have their heart in the right place. They see the difficult times that fellow brothers and sisters on the continent are going through. And they go to Africa with truly good intentions of making a difference and helping. And for those who left more recently in search of greener pastures or running away from the various wars and instabilities, when we go back home, again, sometimes we've been away from home for so long that we are failing to realize that home is no longer what it was when we left, however long ago. In my new home of Ghana, they call Ghanaians who have been out of the country. Some will say, I've been to America. Some will say, I've been to Britain. Some will say, I've been to New Zealand, China. The Ghanaians have nicknamed them the Bintus. And the Bintus have an attitude, because they go home with the Bintu attitude. They say, I've been to, and therefore I know more than you do. Needless to say, when they show up back home with our Bintu attitude, which most of us tend to suffer from, people are not going to take it at home. Because the reality is, our brothers and sisters at home, they have a lot to offer, and we need to appreciate that. While we also have a lot to offer, the reality is the building of the Africa that we want is a collaborative effort. And it starts with each and every one of us respecting each other and realizing that they stayed in the trenches. have been holding the fort. They know the terrain. But we're coming in with our degrees and our work experience. We're failing to realize that they have a lot more that may not necessarily be attached to a degree, that may not necessarily be attached to any finances or any work experience. But nonetheless, it is expertise and knowledge that is needed in order for us to truly come together and build the Africa that we want. So if I may underscore one thing, if we can all adjust our attitudes as we start looking at going home, if we can all realize that we don't have all the answers, and that being two does not necessarily make you and not even being a Bintu to my fellow African Americans. I was talking to one lady who was a school teacher, and she thought she could go to a school district and tell the district superintendent about all the degrees she has and all the educational experiences. And I want to show your people what to do. I want to tell them this and I want to tell them that. And as I was listening to her, her real complaint was that after all that, they didn't want my help. But she failed to realize that she made an assumption that they didn't know what they were doing, which is far from the truth. But she should have asked them is, this is what I'm capable of doing. Where do you feel you could use me? Is this a service that you think you could need? We go with an assumption that we know what our brothers and sisters at home need. No, we should not do that. I often tell people that before you pack your bags to go back home to Africa, if you could pack 3 things in your suitcase: humility, honor, and respect for the Africans above all. You have those 3 things in your luggage, you'll find that our brothers and sisters at home will roll the red carpet for you. Because that's just who we are. We're respectful people, we welcome our visitors, but at the same time, we also don't take any nonsense from them. So with that in mind, as I sat around and tried to figure out how on earth can we really go home, I used to, in my previous life, I'm a medical doctor. We would go on medical missions with other doctors. And it saddened me greatly to see a whole orthopedic surgeon treating ear infections, simply because the country did not have what they needed to offer the expertise that they had. So sometimes, in some cases, the environment is just not ready to receive us. How then can we, in a holistic way, go home in a meaningful way, in an organized way, that we can truly make a difference? And that's when the idea of the Wakanda villages came in. If the truth be told, money alone is not enough to build our Africa. What Africa needs is the capacity, the expertise. The brain drain over the many decades has left Africa without the needed capacity that we need. To put things in perspective for you, and I'm going to use healthcare, the area that I know well. If all the continental African doctors and all the African American doctors were to return home today to Africa, we're only going to meet about 30% of the need. Many heads of states thought building new hospitals, building new clinics was how they addressed the issues of healthcare, only to find out that half of those hospitals, the wards are closed. Not because there are no patients, but because there are no doctors. There are more doctors in New York City from Ghana than the entire country of Ghana. There are more doctors in LA from Nigeria than in the entire country of Nigeria. The same is true at every level. Talk about engineers, talk about the educators. What Africa needs more than any money today is the capacity. And it's not easy to just say, well, doctors, pack your bags and go on home to Ghana, go on home to Nigeria, to Kenya. Because the reality is, quite often, the facilities are not there for them to do what they do. So that brings us back to the drawing board. We must build the Africa that we want. So the idea of the 5 regional Wakanda and their diaspora centers of excellence came out of trying to find a solution to address this issue of capacity. Having the centers of excellence where we, the diaspora, are going to be training all the capacity that Africa needs on a regional level. So in Wakanda, there's going to be a 1,000-bed hospital, which is going to train all the healthcare capacity that is needed. That hospital in Wakanda is going to be the hub for all the healthcare-related development for the region. So for every hospital in Wakanda, there will be more hospitals downstream for the purposes of not only training, but building the healthcare capacity that we need. With very measurable strategy, where we map out and say, if we look at East Africa, how many doctors, including specialists, break it down, do we need in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Uganda, the entire region? How many do we have? How many do we need? At what pace do we need to train? So we can say 20 years from now, latest 30 years from now, issues of access to healthcare are an issue of the past, lack of access to healthcare. We go to education. How many primary schools do we have in the region? How many do we need? At what pace do we need to train? We go to physical structures. How many buildings, primary school, high school, university do we need? How many professors do we need? And we, the diaspora, are going to organize ourselves, come up with a strategic plan of seeing to it that by year 2030, 2040, 2050 at the latest, the issues of access to quality health care are a thing of the past. Can you not see us doing that? Because the capacity that we need to train and beef up the expertise that's needed is right here in this room. We will never run short of teachers. We will never run short of educators. That's how we are going to bring sustainability to the continent. We're going to address the issues of access to water. We're going to have people in sanitation. We're going to have teams to say, what is the population that has access to water? What population does not have access to water? At what pace do we need to build the water systems? And for how long before we can say access to water is a thing of the past? Wakanda is going to address all that. We pick up access to power, same thing. We pick up tourism. We're counting them in some of the best tourist attractions in the world. We're only recognizing 4% of the tourism dollars. Again, those in tourism, starting with the physical hotels, the management of the hotels, the tour operators. It's a whole industry, and we have all that in the diaspora. Wakanda is the hub to start that and extend it throughout the region. We pick up agriculture, from farming to transport to storage all the different levels, the downstream businesses that come out. It starts with Wakanda, with a large agricultural farm and agricultural college with the latest technologies. Everything that I'm describing, including infrastructure, is going to be run and operated by us, the diaspora, in collaboration with our brothers and sisters on the continent. So the question then becomes, okay, Ambassador, it's all nice and wonderful. It's a wonderful idea that we are going to build this futuristic city that we, the diaspora, are going to build and operate in collaboration with our brothers. Where is the money coming from? As usual, this is where the rubber meets the road, and we as black people, we often fail. But we have a plan for that too. You see, as diaspora, if we were to really seriously come together and work together like other ethnic groups do, we have a lot of money. Picture a situation, if we were to go to Bank of America today and say, pull together all the accounts that are owned by black people in America. Do you know how much money that is? We're talking billions. And that money is doing absolutely nothing for us. We drive past black banks to go deposit our money with the other banks. Black churches, it is estimated that every Sunday they collect about $50 million. And Monday morning, they are all beeline to white banks to deposit the money. And again, they drive right past black banks. And when they turn around and they want to get loans from those banks, they make them jump through hoops. And when they can't get a loan from the white bank, guess when they realize there is a black bank around the corner. That's got to change. So what we have come up are 3 issues that we are going to be addressing in order to see to it that the Wakanda villages are a reality. First, we are going to need a database, which we are calling AfroLink. This is going to be similar to the LinkedIn for us to communicate, to tell us what you do. If you're a company, what business are you into? If you're an individual as a professional, what is your profession? We want to do a mapping exercise so we know where everybody is. So come time for the contracts in Wakanda, you are on the table. We know what you do. There's going to be endless opportunities. So AfroLink is going to be launched in October during one of the Afro Champions event, which is going to be held in October 9 and 10 in Kigali, Rwanda. The Afro Champions are the billionaires and millionaires in Africa. They are now the official implementers of the African Continental Free Trade Area. So now that we have the database, the next thing we need is money. We need to pool our funds together. With the assistance of the Afrexim Bank, which some of you may not know, but Afrexim Bank is kind of like the Central Bank of Africa. It's a private bank, but it is the one that negotiates all the exchange rates for 55 African countries. It's not affiliated to any country. It is completely apolitical, and it is the bank that is now the official financial institution for the African Continental Free Trade Area. Picture for a moment, if we were to put all our monies with Afrexim, you see, with Afrexim Bank, you never have to worry about change of government in this country. You never have to worry about exchange rates in this country, because they're the ones that are doing the exchange rates. Currently, they're paying 3-month CD, 3%. 1 year CD, they give you up to 5% return on your money. Even governments are beginning to keep their money with their Afrexim Bank. Billionaires and millionaires are pulling their money from Europe and keeping it with the Afrexim Bank because their returns on their investments are much better with the Afrexim Bank. So we're blessed that now Afrexim Bank is the official financial institution for the African Continental Free Trade Area. Now picture a situation where we say we now all collectively keep our money with Afrexim Bank. The bond that we would like to raise, which we're calling the AFCFTA bond, that is kept and housed in Afrexim Bank. We will slowly be capitalizing Afrexim Bank. Afrexim Bank could easily become equivalent to Bank of China. This will be the bank that's going to be funding all our developmental projects. So we need to register a bond. And we're hoping to raise 5 regional bonds, 1 in each region for $1 billion, starting with the registration It only takes about $300,000 to register a bond for 50 million. The 50 million new money people you're here, you know how that works? Within 6 months to 9 months, you have the 50 million. Then you take that 50 million, and the money people tell me they can work with it. In another 2 years or so, you can build it up to $1 billion. So the hope is to have $1 billion for each region to jumpstart the building of Wakanda. So that is the bond. So we have the AfroLink, which is the database. For the bond to succeed, you gotta have the database. You gotta know where your people are. And then in order for Wakanda to be built, you still need your people. You need the database so we know where people are. As we organize ourselves and we organize the low-hanging fruits, and keep in mind, everything that we are doing is continental development. It's not about building something in Kenya, building something in Mozambique. No, it's a continental approach. With those three entities, the database, the bond, and the projects, we have simplified the process of how we can all pull together and say, between now and July of next year, when the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area is going to occur, we, the children of Africa, are going to be financially in a position to get on the table and get the contracts and build the Africa that we want. Here's what's going to happen if we don't do that. The African heads of states, through the African Continental Free Trade Area, have opened up Africa. We're in the process right now of getting rid of all the roadblocks to trading with each other. The rules of origin, the non-tariff barriers, the harmonization of policies, everything that's been getting in the way of African countries trading with each other. All those elements are going to be removed. July next year, Africa is going to be completely wide open. We're going to have an economy that's $2.5 to $3 trillion with a workforce of 1.27 billion people, and a market that is easy to expand, where you register your company in one country and you can spread across the continent like wildfire. Did the heads of states do this so China can come in and do that? I think not. Did they do it so Europeans can come in and do that? I think not. Did they do that so Indians can come in and do that? I think not. The reality is, they're the ones with the money. They're the ones who've been getting themselves ready to take advantage of what's happening in Africa. We are seeing more and more embassies being opened. Many countries are opening 20 to 30 embassies in Africa a year, getting ready to take advantage of what's happening in Africa. What they are counting on is the fact that black people will never come together in any meaningful way. Black people will never pull their funds together. Black people don't trust each other. So yes, if we don't come together, they're going to use their financial muscle to bulldoze us, and this time, they're going to be coming in for a total, complete cleanup of our continent. I don't think you want to miss this opportunity. Picture situation. 1 million people with $1,000. That's $1 billion. Can we not do that? Around the globe, we cannot find 1 million black people with $1,000. Even the registration of the 5 bonds, we're only looking at, the money people are telling me, it's going to take about 300,000 to register. That's only 300 people with $1,000 for each bond, for each region to be registered. Can we not get that? 300 people with $1,000 to register a bond, one for each region. That's how simple it is. Or we can take 600 people with $500 each. The choice is yours. We're floating it out to say the process has been simplified. That if you believe in yourself,